Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and happy 2020. Happy New Year to everyone out there. We got a good show lined up today. We're going to crank it up with our good friend from The Athletic, Andy Staples, former Florida Gator offensive lineman, used to just plow over people in practice on a daily basis.
No one's ever plowed over.
Good morning. How are you, my man?
No one was put over many times by Reggie McGrew, though. And many other times by Ed Chester.
Yeah. You're basically a blocking dummy. That's what sometimes scout team is. We've all been there. Andy, we had a couple of days to kind of marinate what happened out in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. Were you surprised at how it went?
Yeah, I was just surprised by how lifeless they were. I get that the stars are out, but this is your chance to step up if you're a young guy and show what you can be for next year. And if this is a program that intends to compete for national championships, then when those young guys get a chance against good competition, they need to show out. I mean, that's how you, like, if Alabama's best players don't play, those young guys are chomping at the bit to play. If Ohio State's best player play, those guys are ready to go, dying for this chance. So I think that's the most discouraging thing. And another thing is the reaction. I mean, after each loss this season, with the exception of the SEC championship game, which there's no shame for losing Alabama in the SEC championship game, but there have been excuses. It's, there are too many fans at Texas A&M, and LSU, they shouldn't have called a penalty for him throwing the shoe. And don't make it. And then this one, it was, the 2020 team already finished. Don't make excuses. Just say you got beat. Okay. It's that simple. You got beat. Don't be the program that makes excuses.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The thing that stood out to me, Andy, and we're speaking with Andy Staples here on the Titan MR hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. I'm concerned about our talent and depth, because as you just mentioned, when a starter's out, whether it's injuries, ops out, whatever it is, the next guy in has to go play at a high level. Well, what my eyes showed, what I saw, I'm not sure we have the talent we need to compete week in and week out in the SEC.
Now, some of that may be, Shane, that it was fairly quick notice, that it was within, about a 10-day period that they went from being full strength to not full strength at all. But it did seem to me that, some of those guys should be able to compete against the Oklahomas of the world. I mean, Oklahoma's good. Oklahoma's a team that is going to make the playoff in a lot of years. But Oklahoma had their best corner opt out. They had issues well throughout the season. You're right. This is a program that should be able to be competitive even when the best players aren't playing, because you've recruited well enough to do that. And that's the thing that, Florida beating Georgia this year, I think, may have masked that a little bit, because that's the reason why most of us continue to pick Georgia over Florida when they play, is that depth that Georgia has, that they've continuously stacked 4- and 5-star guys. And when they lose somebody, it seems like they have somebody else who can come in and do just as good of a job. And, we'll have to see with Florida. I don't know that these guys are incapable of competing for championships, the younger guys they have. They've got to show they can do it. What's interesting to me is this is a program, and I think Dan Mullen's done a good job of this over the years he's been there, where they would get younger guys in spots during the season where when it got to the point where they needed to play and play a bigger role, they were ready. It felt like this season maybe that they didn't get a chance to do that as much, and that I would assume that's because of the circumstances of the season. So it may be that this has just sort of been a weird year. They can get back to getting those young guys ready so that if they do have a key person go out as the season goes on, they ready to fill that role. Because I remember talking to Todd Grantham about that before the season started. And he was talking about, all the guys that were coming in on defense who had, been able to play in some real spots, not just going. And I'm not sure, I'm thinking back on this season, I'm not sure how much to do that.
Mm-hmm. When are you a Heisman Trophy voter?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously you can't tell us who you voted for, but what's interesting is, and I was looking at Twitter during the game last night, these people are crazy. But I've always said, a quarterback is only as good as the players around him. And, there's been so many people out there that have bashed Mac Jones. He's a game manager. If you take away, Najee Harris, this guy, that guy, Devontae Smith, anybody can play quarterback. Well, I try to tell people, if you take away Kyle Pitts, who there's nobody I've ever seen like him, Tony, who can make all the underneath, the yards after the catch, Grimes, you take away a guy's weapons, be careful what you're saying. And it just goes to show you, because if you look at Danny Werfel, if you don't have Ike, Kwesi, and Riedel, Danny's not Danny. You got to have good players around you.
Yeah, and I think, you look at Trask's game, there were some times he was staring down receivers, but there were also times when he threw the ball exactly where it needed to be and it got dropped. Mm-hmm. And a couple times it went off hands of people and into hands of spinners, So that's just how it goes. And you're right about that. You've got to have that level. Think about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had the best season any college quarterback's ever had. Well, look at the talent around him. He had a first-round running back, multiple first-round receivers, first-round offensive linemen. They had guys just top to bottom that made that offense go along with Joe Burrow. And, that's why I always say when people ask what's the most amazing college football season you've ever seen out of somebody, it's Cam Newton in 2010, because other than Cam Newton, do you know how many NFL starts the rest of the Auburn offense combined for from that 2010 team?
I'm just going to guess one.
One start total. One game in the NFL started by the other 10 starters on that Auburn team, and in that Auburn offense. And so that tells you how amazing Cam was in 2010. But it's so hard to do. And you're right. I do think the Pitts thing, and really he kind of blossomed at the end of last season, and you got to see him in kind of all his glory this season. But it's going to take a while before I think we really appreciate just how good he was. And, we're going to see him do this stuff in the NFL. He's just you don't find guys like that very often. And that's the craziest thing. We bag on Jim McElwain's recruiting, but that staff landed Kyle Pitts. That was a pretty good get out of Philadelphia, not normally a hotbed for Gators. I guess Sharif Floyd.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot he's from Philly. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. It's New Year's Day 2020. Hope everybody had a great New Year's Eve. We're speaking with Andy Staples. You can follow him on Twitter at
Shane, it's 2021. 2020 is over. Thank goodness.
Did I say 2020? I said 20. Okay, 2021.
I was like, no, we don't want to do it again.
No, we don't. Okay, let's go to the college football playoffs being played this afternoon. Let's start first with the first game, Alabama against Notre Dame. I personally think I think this is just going to be a woodshed beat down. The only reason I say that is because I think we have more skill players and we throw the football better than Notre Dame does at Florida. So we could score with them. Once they're up 20-something points, I don't think Notre Dame, they're going to try to rely on running the football. How do you see this game playing out?
Very similar to you. I think, Clemson and Ohio State might be able to match up athletically with Alabama, and they might be the only team in the country that can. Everybody else has to try to score. That's why Florida and Ole Miss were the only two teams that could even come close to doing it, because they had good quarterback, great skill guys. And you're right. Ian Book is good, but he's not Trask. They don't have a Kyle Pitts. They don't have a Kadarius Toney. They have decent receivers. They've got size at the receiver position, which I think can help them a little bit. Now, what they want to do is they want to dominate on the ground. They want to push you around up. And that's what you saw in that first meeting with Clemson. They did a great job controlling a scrimmage. Now, they're down to their third string center, and that's a brutal thing to have to deal with against Alabama. You saw how bad it was against Clemson. Remember, Clemson didn't have their best defensive tackle the first time around, did have him the second time. And you saw what a difference it made when a guy can blow up a play from inside out every single time. You got problems, and I think that's what Notre Dame's got to deal with, is because they're always going to have a guard helping out, and it really limits what you can do against that Alabama defense. And so I just don't think they can score with them. I don't think they can take enough possessions out of the game to keep the score down. That's the thing about Alabama. My favorite thing about Alabama is they can beat you however you would like to be beaten. So if you want to play a game where you want the scoring drives to take 7-8 minutes, they can play that game. They're happy to play that game, but they may pop 2-minute touchdown drives on you to get a lead, and then they'll do the 7-minute scoring drive for the rest of the game, right, just to get out of there. And it's amazing to me how much Nick Saban has changed over the years, because, go back to that 2012 team that beat Notre Dame in the national title game. If you watch that 2012 Alabama team and you watch this team, it looks like two different sports. It doesn't even look like football, the same game. And that's Nick Saban being adaptable and being willing to change with the times and change. And he knew it back then. I remember, so they have a guest host for his radio show on Thursday nights before each game. And I was the media guest host before the 2012 Texas A&M game. And that was the one where Johnny Manziel came in and beat them in Tuscaloosa. And Nick Saban, one, knew they were going to lose. Two, knew exactly how they were going to lose. Basically, on that Thursday night, predicted step by step how Texas A&M would beat Alabama. And You could tell his wheels were turning, because they'd had a game against Ole Miss earlier this season where their defense had been really stressed. And he realized, okay, I will not be able to keep winning if I keep doing it this way. And so they were already shifting their recruiting to be different. But it took until 2015 to really have it. But that's what amazing. We watch these Nick Saban disciples go take over programs and fail at it. They just don't understand that it's not a magic formula. It's Nick Saban paying attention to what's going on and changing as the game changes.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. January is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We got Andy Staples on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Andy, Ohio State, Clemson. There's a lot of bulletin board material supposedly that Dabo's given them. Voted on 11th in his coaches poll. I just still, my eye test has told me that Ohio State is not the same Ohio State that we've seen in the past. Now, they have only played 6 games or 7 games, whatever it is. I just haven't been impressed. Now, they may play great against Clemson, but I just think Clemson they're going to have the best player on the field with Trevor Lawrence. I just think they're going to find a way to win.
I think Clemson is the better team, but the eye test is misleading in this one, because I'm not sure if we've seen Ohio State at full strength yet. And this may be the closest we get to them at full strength. And I agree with you that especially defensively, they do not look as loaded as they did last year. I mean, last year they were unbelievable top to bottom on defense. And there's not a Chase Young this year. I rewatched that Fiesta Bowl from last year the other day, and it is shocking when Chase Young doesn't hit the quarterback. He's that good. He just toys with offensive tackles. And you've seen it in the NFL this year. For Washington, he's been fantastic. So I think that's part of the problem that they may have is not being able to get pressure on Lawrence. If one of those guys, because now they've got a bunch of guys at Ohio State that look the part, but they have not played like that. If they could get that kind of pressure on Trevor Lawrence, then maybe they got a chance, because it's one thing they did really well at the beginning of the game last year is they hit him and hit him and hit him. There's one play where I didn't think he was going to get up, and you got to do that. The other thing that they need to do is realize what is working offensively and just do it. That was their biggest problem in the Big Ten championship game. They were handing off their backs and gaining 8 yards of carry, but then they do that on first down, and then they throw twice and couldn't find it. And Northwestern's dropping 8. They're saying, please run the ball on us. And it was like, why are you doing this? Are you trying to score style points, or just do what works? And so Ryan Day did that out by the I'd say middle of the third quarter. And then they just started handing off to Trey Sermon. And, I think they could be a good balanced offense against Clemson. And I realize Brent Venables is going to have a good game plan and is a great in-game adjuster, but it's hard to make in-game adjustments against an offense that runs the ball well and throws the ball. I think they'll be able to do that if they've kind of figured out what they've got in Trey Sermon. I do think one of their strengths is that offensive line, especially in terms of opening holes in the run game. So I think this game's going to be pretty close. I'm excited to watch this game. This is probably the matchup I wanted to see most this season. I was at the Fiesta Bowl last year. It was a fantastic game. It turned on a couple things. You had the Trevor Lawrence run where, I don't think anybody realized he was going to run away from a bunch of first-round talent in Ohio State secondary. I think they realized he was a decent athlete, didn't realize he's that great of an athlete. So that run, I think, changed the tone of the game. You had the Shaun Wade targeting penalty where he certainly wasn't trying to hurt anybody, but by the letter of the rule, they had to throw him out, and that changed everything for Ohio State's defense. I mean, this is one that you can take away the bulletin board stuff, and it's already a great matchup. But to add Dabo voting Ohio State 11th, you got Kevin Wilson saying, you ruined my anniversary because I had to sit and watch your stupid Citadel game. So now I'm going to run the option. I like this. I like the saltiness between these two teams. I'm happy for that. And, look, if I'm Ohio State, if I'm Mickey Marotti and Dabo voted me number 11, I might print some T-shirts that say number 11 on them and have them wear them under their pads. And then if they happen, then they strip off their shoulder pads and all dap up Dabo at midfield. Hey, number 11, you can just point at the shirt.
Yeah, that's true. So
number 11 is just number one.
Having said all that, who are you picking to win the two games?
I think Alabama wins and covers. I think Clemson wins, but it's very, very close.
So we get to see Alabama, Clemson once again. A couple more things here with you, Andy, before we let you go. Do you think Devontae Smith wins the Heisman Trophy?
I don't know. I think him getting the AP Player of the Year award does sort of give you some confidence, but it's been a long time. Tim Brown is the last wide receiver to win the Heisman.
I thought it was Desmond.
Was it Dez? Oh, you're right. It was Dez. Dez was 91. Tim Brown was 87. So, okay. So, but still, point remains 19 years ago, or what? No, I'm sorry, 29 years ago. I'm not good at math. It was a long time ago. But I do think Devontae Smith, I mean, he's one I feel like we slept on him. So this is the trivia question I ask people, and it always trips them up. So last year, Alabama had first-rounder Jerry Jeudy, first-rounder Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle was healthy. They had Devontae Smith. Who led Alabama in receiving in 2019?
I'm going to guess Devontae Smith.
It was Devontae Smith. And people, nobody realizes that. Like, wow. Because the focus was on Ruggs and Jeudy, who were about to go in the first round. And Waddle had that amazing game against Auburn where you're like, what can't this guy do? And so everybody not now, but everybody kept kind of forgetting about Devontae Smith when he's been the most reliable guy the entire time. I mean, Devontae Smith's endorsement of Mac Jones is what made the offseason easier for Alabama. There was no controversy between Mac Jones and Bryce Young. Devontae Smith wanted Mac Jones to be the starting quarterback. He was going to be the starting quarterback. And so it's pretty funny that, think about this guy So the first we really, outside, unless you're like a recruit Nick who really follows Alabama, the first you really heard about Devontae Smith is remember he caught that pass on a third and Grantham play.
3rd and 26, right?
To beat Mississippi State in 2017. They had struggled in that game. Alabama was playing walk-on linebackers. They were really banged up, and that was a tight game. And so he catches a game-winning touchdown pass there, and then they're 2nd and 26 in the national championship game. So he became known as this guy who catches the game-winning pass. But when you catch an iconic pass like that one, people tend to forget all the other things you do. He's good at everything, and he might be 165 soaking wet. That's I tweeted out the other day, or I think it was, I want to say it was before the Auburn game, that he's the best pound for pound player in America. And I had all these people tweeting back at me with like these 220-pound running backs. I'm like, guys, do you not understand what pound for pound means?
Yeah. Hey, so the last thing before I let you go here, do you think we are looking at any type of expansion of the college football playoffs, especially now after seeing what happened in the Cotton Bowl? We may see it happen today with the Georgia game. They have a bunch of guys opting out. Do you think that's going to get the committee to expand?
I don't know if they're going to expand because of that. There's some issues that they've got to work out with the contract, and it runs through the 2026 season. Now, here's what can happen. And this is somebody actually asked one of my coworkers, Stuart Mandel, a question for his mailbag that I thought was really, really interesting. Could bowls pay players an appearance fee to get them to stay and play in the game? And because remember, next year you got the name, image, and likeness stuff going through. Players will be allowed to sign up and get paid to advertise for things. Now, it's interesting because most of the rules haven't been set yet, but the way that it looks like they're going to be is you can't actually directly pay them to play. But if you were to, I don't know, pay them to appear in interviews for the bowl game, my guess is they would play in it if you paid them 30, 40 grand, if it's Kyle Pitts to play in the Cotton Bowl. I mean, they already pay him in Best Buy gift cards now. So I don't even see what the difference is really. It's just the better players would get some actual cash. I don't know. I might take a $40,000 Best Buy gift card if I was about to go to the NFL. I need to outfit my new condo. So
just hearing you talk about all that, I'm already concerned about the state of college football, the way it's going right now. And now I forgot about the name.
I'm not concerned in the least. They should have been making it you should have been making it when you were the starting quarterback at Florida. You should have been able to do ads for the Purple Porpoise.
I agree. That's true. But I guess, gosh, I can't imagine now the Ford dealership in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, how much they're going to be paying Mac Jones to stay for another year and put a billboard and all this kind of stuff at their dealership. Who knows?
Why is that bad? He's earned it.
It's not bad. I'm just saying that it's not bad. I guess I got to get used to it. I guess we're going to have some people in Gainesville pony up to get some players here. Right.
Well, all right. Car dealerships. Hey, listen, trade. You trade with radio stations all the time. Now you got to trade. It's a free lease. That's all you got to do in kind.
Yeah. Good point. Well, Andy, Happy New Year. Let's hope 2021 is much better than 2020. We appreciate you taking time. Let everybody know how they can listen to your show.
So you can listen to the Andy Staples Show anywhere you get podcasts, wherever you're listening to Pod Up. Just type in Andy Staples Show and subscribe, and then you can get Shane, and then you get me.
Good stuff, my man. What about The Athletic? Any specials going?
So the special right now is buy one subscription, get one free for a friend or a relative. And so you basically buy a year subscription and then you can gift it to a friend or a relative. I guarantee you they will be your new favorite friend or relative. They will love you so much because there is all kinds of good stuff. We got Alan Taylor covering the Gators. You got me writing about college football. We have the best college football coverage in America. We're the deepest. We got tons of good people. But here's the thing. If you're an NFL fan, let's say, I don't know if there's a ton of Jags fans, but Trevor Lawrence is going to be a Jag soon. So you read about them, read about Tom Brady and the Bucs. If you're a basketball fan, if you're a Magic fan, a Heat fan, we got all of it covered and covered better than anybody else. So yeah, it's about a coffee a month. It's a pretty good deal.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Andy. Be safe, my man. Take care.
Thanks, Shane.
That's Andy Staples. You can follow him on Twitter at Andy_Staples. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. Going to take a time out here from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parrish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Hey, folks, I want to tell you about this G-Tech Clean. It kills 99.9% of all bacteria, viruses, mold, and mildew. Ready to use. We also have G-Tech Sport. Keep your athlete in the game with G-Tech Sport. I'm going to show you. All you got to do is just spray it, and it kills all the bacteria in your house. So check out G-Tech Sport. Keep your athlete in the game. Welcome back to this New Year's Day edition 2021 of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Nike, Cincy, Prime and Pearl, and opening soon, Dave & Buster's, and coming spring of 2021, which is now, HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. Now we're going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by the corn dog himself, JC. Happy New Year, my man.
Happy New Year, Shane. Happy New Year, everybody. Great to be with you on a beautiful day. New Year's, here we go, 2021. It's going to be a great year, and I'm looking forward to a big weekend of football.
Well, JC, did you party hard last night?
I mean, not too much. No, we flew into Dallas. The weather is terrible. It's raining pretty hard. But they had some events at the hotel we kind of bumped around in. And, yeah, it was a good night overall. I don't stay up late anymore. Those days are over for me, QB. I'll leave you all that New Year's partying and stuff to you and your friends there. I can't do it anymore.
No, I can't even stay up till midnight. but I picture JC with a party hat on and one of those things that you blow and being real loud at midnight. Is that you?
Well, that used to happen. It did. But I'm going to save it all for, what's coming today later at 4:00. And then I've got a big interest, of course, in the nightcap with Clemson and Ohio State. So, I'm just kind of saving it for the weekend, my man.
Yeah, I hear you. So, yesterday, the Liberty Bowl, not the Liberty Bowl, right. What was the Armed Forces Bowl? Mississippi State beats Tulsa. But, man, did you see that nasty brawl? It was, they carried a guy. JC, I saw the video of it. They carried a guy. He was number 1 for Tulsa. They said he was having trouble breathing because he was beaten so bad. They were carrying him off the field. It was a scary situation.
Do you know how it happened? I didn't get to see all the. I saw some clips on Twitter, and I saw these guys on the sideline going crazy.
I watched some of the game off and on. It was very chippy the entire game. You know, it was bad weather, but it was a lot of pushing, mouthing. Officials had to get in between. I don't know what happened at the end, but it's one of the worst brawls I've seen. But anyway.
Well, why do you think all that happened? I do know that Tulsa is one of the highest penalized teams in college football, but I mean, I have no idea why these two teams could have gone after each other like this. That doesn't make much sense to me. But
yeah, I don't know what started it, but it was not a good situation. So let's do this. There's 4 games today, and we want to talk about our Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. It's the Peachland Dentistry JC and the QB Weekend Fix. Before we get to those, we haven't had your assessment of the embarrassing loss that the Gators had against Oklahoma. I basically look at it like this. It is what it is. It's over with. Burn the film and move on.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good word. Embarrassing is a good word for it. And, you know, I just don't know about these comments after the game. I think they're accurate with what Dan said in that this was certainly not the same team. But my God, if 25 guys aren't going to be able to play, what are we doing an exhibition game for? Opt out of it. Nobody would have blamed you. The Cotton Bowl deserves to be respected. It's one of the oldest bowl games out there, and I just didn't care for what I heard after the game. I understand the fact that things weren't the way they should be right now. I get it, but my goodness, that was just. I agree with you. That was terrible, and
it was. I don't
believe it.
Here's my problem with the whole thing. Play the football game, but you know what it showed, JC, and what's a concern for me is do we not have depth on our team? Do we not have any talent on our team?
Yeah, I don't know, QB.
I mean, think about it. I mean,
after the game, he said flat out that Shane. He said after the game they almost didn't have enough players to even play the game.
JC, they had 60 scholarship players. Okay, then you had another 35 walk-ons. Okay, you had only 11 play at a time. Is my point.
Yeah.
My concern is
they weren't ready for that game, Shane. It was an awful experience.
It made it 17-13. It was 17-13 at one point. Okay?
I think we all knew it was coming.
Well, regardless, my concern is the kids that had not played this year. It's your time to shine. And if you can't get ready to play, something is wrong with you because you haven't played all year or you may have played sparingly. And this is your time to show the coaching staff what you can do. And maybe that's the best we got. But my concern is those are our backups. And the talent didn't look like it was there, in my opinion.
Right. I get that. I just think, if we're going to treat it like an exhibition game, we don't need to play it. And Indiana surely would have been a better opponent for Oklahoma after what we witnessed last night. I just didn't expect all that to happen. I didn't know they had so many guys out. Honestly, I didn't know about the defense.
But again, let's just say this. The first quarter, you had 6 guys get hurt. If it was a if everybody opted in and you get 6 guys hurt, your backups have to go play. Are our backups that bad is what I'm asking. I don't want to use the excuse. We can't use the excuse of our starters are out. I mean, think about in the NFL right now with their COVID protocol, how many teams, look at the Cleveland Browns. They had to play without their guys. The next guys have to step in. Like I said, my concern is, let me ask you this, JC. If Alabama was playing in the Cotton Bowl last night and they had 10 or 12 guys out, do you think their backup corners, their backup defensive linemen, linebackers are going to look like that?
No, I think that's a team that has a little bit more depth in Florida right now, and I think
that's where I'm going with this.
Right, and it makes sense. I'm not disagreeing with that whatsoever. I was just talking about what he said after the game, and I understand he's right. That, it's not the same team, but to see of it, to almost talk of it as if it were an exhibition was disappointing to hear, frankly, because the Cotton Bowl deserves more respect. I mean, this team allowed 435 yards rushing. It is the most rushing yards allowed in Cotton Bowl history, and the game has been around for 85 years. That's awful. And it's just one of those things where you're right. The depth is not there, especially on the defense.
Well, I'll tell you this right now.
Got to get some.
I told you in August that the weakest part of this football team was the front seven on defense.
Yeah.
And it showed.
Absolutely right. And that is 100% right. They've got to get some help on that side of the ball. I hope that's the focus. I know they've had the early signing period. There's probably, I don't know how many scholarships are available for February. I hope he finds some backups. And look, some defensive guys. And look, these guys like Jervon Dexter and people like that who are drafted.
They can't play.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not Florida's fault. They went after a guy they thought was the kind of guy that would fit in. And I don't know. I'm not ready to give up on the kid yet. But obviously, if he were effective and he were the kind of guy who could step up and play right now like you thought he would, then we would have seen better production out of him. So I think Florida's got some issues to address, and I hope they can fix this soon because, you know, it just seems like you're right. That was one of those things last night that nothing good could have come out of that. It's unfortunate. I wish it had changed or been better, but I kind of thought Oklahoma was going to pretty much name the score, and that's what they did.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to our games. There's 4 games today.
Yeah.
Let's start out with the Peach Bowl. Cincinnati is playing Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs are laying 7 to the Cincinnati Bearcats. Who does JC like?
JC is going with the points of the Cincinnati Bearcats because, again, we have players that are not playing in this game for Georgia. I know JT Daniels is the quarterback. I think Georgia is a considerably better team when he's in there, and they are healthy, and they have a full complement of players. Cincinnati's a motivated team. They've got a lot to play for here, a team that can really make a statement to its season. Give me the 7 points in the Bearcats, Shane.
All right, I'm going to take Georgia. I think Georgia beats them handily. I just think there's too. I think they have way more talent, even with guys opted out, than Cincinnati does. And what they're going to do is they're going to run the football right down Cincinnati's throat. Okay, let's go to the Citrus Bowl. You got Northwestern, who is favored over an Auburn team by 3.5 points.
I saw all I needed from Northwestern last game against Ohio State. I thought they were okay. They played as hard as they could. I think Auburn's gonna show that the athleticism of their team will be enough to take Northwestern. Give me Auburn and the 3.5.
Well, I agree with that. I think Auburn's got way too much team speed, too much athleticism. Watching Northwestern, the few times I watched them this year, they are way, way too slow.
Definitely.
Definitely. So we both agree on that game. We're going to go now to the Rose Bowl, which is being played in Dallas, Texas. Right. I believe you're going to be attending this game, correct?
That's right. We'll be there at Jerry World and enjoying it. Notre Dame fans, there's a lot of them here I've seen, but I've also seen a lot of Alabama fans. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. The weather's going to be great outside. There's a lot of events planned.
But the game is inside.
It's true, and I'm happy about that because it's going to be 42 degrees out. But give me Alabama. I'm not good betting against them ever. I mean, I know Florida covered. I think there may have been 1 or 2 more teams this year that covered against Alabama. Ole Miss is another one, and that's it. And so Alabama's been Vegas's team this year. They've covered most of the time on these huge numbers. I think Alabama, with 19.5, wins this game by 21, 24 points. Notre Dame will stay with them, I think, for maybe the first half. And then I think Alabama will wear them out in the second half. So I'm going to lay the points, QB.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think this is blowout city. I think once Alabama gets ahead, they just pour it on. Notre Dame doesn't have the firepower to keep up. Their only hope is to 3 yards here, 3 yards there, 4 yards, milk the clock. But the problem is Alabama can score so quick. I just don't see how I think Notre Dame is going to get embarrassed how they did. What year was that in the national championship game?
2012 in Miami.
Yeah, I see that coming. What are the costs of the tickets for this event?
There's a lot of them on the secondary market going for 4 figures, but I was able to scrounge up a few through the alumni folks for much less. But the tickets, there's only about 16 to 20,000 available. It'll look more crowded than I think it really is on TV because the upper levels are not shown much, and that place is really, really big and really high. So the tickets are going to be 4 digits. I mean, up to from $1,000 to $2,000, which is absurd. But these people will pay it. I didn't.
Well, they're paying. It's all because of Notre Dame's people.
Yeah, it is, and that's right. And the last time they played Alabama, there were 70. I would say 70% of the crowd in Miami, with 75,000 fans, there was Notre Dame fans. And then they left at halftime, and the place was all Alabama. So they'll be here. It's going to be a great event. But I think Alabama just has too much firepower. Notre Dame is better. They'll play hard. They'll try to run the ball. They'll play good, salty defense. But Alabama, I think, defensively matches up much better with Notre Dame than they did against Florida. I think Alabama matches up much better against Notre Dame than they do the other two teams also. Yeah,
and then the nightcap in the Sugar Bowl, which I think they're only allowing like 3,000 total fans in this game.
Ridiculous.
Clemson's favored by 7.5 over the Buckeyes of Ohio State. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, Ohio State's very young in the secondary. They will be exposed. Clemson will score plenty of points. I think Ohio State's best chance is to run the ball. I recall last year, J.K. Dobbins had his way with Clemson. He was running all over them. I think that's going to be the plan, to let Master Teague and the other kid get the ball and run it. And just run it. And hopefully Fields will have some ability or some chances to make a big play here and there. That's the only chance they have to stay close, because Clemson's going to score plenty of points. Again, Ohio State's very young in the defensive secondary, but they got athletes on the field. This 7.5-point number, though, to me is why I'm going to take Ohio State. It's probably a sucker play, probably shouldn't, but I'm going to go with the points again against popular belief. I know you're taking Clemson, but I'm going to take Ohio State. Write it down. They'll stay close in this game because they'll run the ball and they'll run it effectively. Those two kids running the ball for Ohio State are the real deal, and that offensive line is very good. And last year they had a lot of success with Dobbins. I think they'll have some success running the ball this year too.
Yeah, I like Clemson. I think Clemson wins this game easily. I do have concerns that Tony Elliott, their offensive coordinator, will not be calling plays because he tested positive for COVID, so he's not there. It's interesting to me how, the coaches test positive and then the game continues. But if one or two players test positive, the game's canceled. Isn't that interesting?
I can't figure that out either. I mean, I'm agreeing with you here. They freak out when one kid the University of California canceled a game because some kid had a contact with a kid that had with somebody else that had it, and he didn't even test positive for it. But because he was around another kid, my God, they just have to cancel the game, right? So
right, but my point is, what's the difference between a player, whether it's contact tracing or actually test positive, and then a coach testing positive? They're all in the same meetings together, but the coach, I guess, because they're not actually playing in the game, they're still allowed to play the game, but I don't know why they don't cancel it. But anyway, I do have concerns there because last year they had a co-coordinator job. It was between Tony Elliott and Jeff Scott, who's now the head coach at University of South Florida.
Right.
So, if Elliott had tested positive then, Jeff Scott continues calling the plays. So I think it's going to be a collective effort. I'm sure Dabo will be chimed in a little bit. So that concerns me a little bit. But I think when you got the best player in the country at the quarterback position, and I just think he's going to make way too many plays to win the game.
I'll tell you, it's not just that kid either. Etienne is
Etienne is outstanding.
Etienne may be, and many of the Clemson broadcasters and media contingent believe that kid is the best who has ever played at Clemson. I know Lawrence is probably the best quarterback that's played there, and you can correlate that to being the best player. But a lot of these folks think that Etienne is the best that's ever played at Clemson. He's one of the best that's ever played, period. And they have had some great athletes go there. There's a reason for that, and they're winning. And I would watch out for him. The kid I was thinking about at Ohio State is Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon from Oklahoma. Just think if he'd been suited up for the Sooners last night.
Oh, good heavens. I mean, so that's what Ohio State's going to do. They're going to try to keep Etienne and Lawrence on the sideline and control the football with their running game. I think that's their best chance. It's really their only chance because Clemson will score plenty of points here.
Yeah, Travis Etienne is the all-time leading rusher in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
He might be the best player they've ever had there.
I think he has a chance to be an Alvin Kamara type guy at the next level. All right, JC, a few more minutes. We're going to run through these bowl picks, the ones that are Saturday and what have you. Kentucky's a 2-point favorite against NC State in the Gator Bowl.
I like Kentucky. They've got a full roster, healthy. I think they'll be better than NC State. I don't know why, but give me Kentucky.
Okay, I'm going to take the Wolfpack because they can actually score points and complete a forward pass. It's hard time taking a team that can't complete a forward pass, and the Wildcats cannot.
Good point.
We're going to go to the Outback Bowl down in Tampa. The Rebels playing your Indiana Hoosiers, and the Hoosiers are favored by 8 points over the Rebels.
Too many points. I'll take Ole Miss, even though Elijah is out, the wide receiver. I still like Ole Miss.
Yeah, I like the Rebels too. I think, it's interesting. Indiana doesn't have their starting quarterback. He's been out 3 or 4 weeks with the torn ACL. Ole Miss can't stop a soul, but I think they score enough points. I think Matt Corral plays really well, and they beat Indiana. In the Fiesta Bowl, the Cyclones, Iowa State, 4 points favored over the Oregon Ducks, your Pac-12 champs.
Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised what Oregon was able to do with Southern Cal. I hate picking Pac-12 teams, but the 4 points looks interesting to me. I was disappointed in Iowa State's effort in the championship game, even though they had a chance there at the end. I think the quarterback will take care of the ball a little better. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 4, but I'm really sketchy about this pick.
Well, it's interesting. Iowa State just hangs around in games. They play extremely hard. They're not flashy, and they find ways to win. I like Iowa State. Oregon, I think, has been a huge disappointment, even though they did win the Pac-12. I don't like the Oregon quarterback play, so I'll go with the Cyclones.
Right.
Move down to South Florida in the Orange Bowl. North Carolina's getting 7 points from the Aggies.
I see a blowout here. You want to talk about a blowout? You're looking at one right here with A&M. I think they're going to destroy Carolina, who's missing their best offensive players for the most part anyway. I'm not sure. Is the quarterback playing? I don't care. They're missing their best players, running back. And Texas A&M has got some – I think they want to make a statement in this game and show the country that they should have been picked in the championship. I don't know. I think they're going to blow out Carolina. I'm going to lay the 7.
I like A&M. North Carolina, you mentioned their 2 top running backs have both opted out, getting ready for the NFL draft. They're the ones that ran for like a combined 500, 600 yards on Miami a couple of weeks ago. I think A&M's stud tight end opted out. I could be wrong, but I still think the Aggies, whether they want to prove something or whatever, I think they're a better football team in North Carolina. Okay, so JC, just give I know our loyal listeners would be interested in what is JC's game day going to a semifinal game all about? So, it's early in the morning now. The game kicks off, 3:00 Central Time? So
that's right.
Did you get a nice breakfast this morning? Or are you going to go eat like a buffet before you head out and have a few cocktails?
I mean, that's where we're heading after this. We're going to go hit the big buffet there at the Sheraton. We're going to go just really slop it up good. Got to have a lot of calories and carbs for today's excitement. Then we're going to walk down to Texas Live. The weather, it's not raining. It's going to clear up dramatically, and a lot of people are going to be outside today because the weather has been awful here the last 2 days. But we're going to walk outside. We're going to go to this place called Texas Live, and if you've ever seen it online, Google it. It's a massive arena type of bar hangout place where you can drink and eat, and it's got a massive television screen. There's hundreds of screens, and there's bands playing. There's music going on outside today that's scheduled, and there will be fans everywhere. And then we just take a short walk over to Jerry World and walk in and scream as loud as you can. A lot of folks are going to come to this game as opposed to the Miami game next week because we're expecting to win this game, the Alabama family. And so, by God, we're going to go down there and they're going to know about it. And we'll see what happens today. But it's just a big football day. It's a shame that there's not 80,000 fans coming today because there certainly would be if we weren't in the situation we are in. But I'm grateful that they're letting people in at least to go watch it. And if you can't, then there's a great place here called Texas Live. that will allow folks to really feel the atmosphere and be involved. And again, there's, it's very different because of the coronavirus, but it's better than nothing. And so we'll just have a great time, and we'll spend the weekend in Dallas, come back on Sunday, and we'll be fine.
Last thing for you. Are you wearing your crimson number 10, number 6, or number 22 jersey to the game?
No jerseys, just a red Bama shirt. Got a hat on. Got a new 47 brand hat with the big logo with the old school elephant rampaging through the air that says Bama on the side of them. It's a great hat. I wish I could show it to you. I really do. Maybe I'll wear it on Monday for you. In fact, I will. And we'll talk about this big victory today come Monday. How's that sound for you?
Sounds good. All right, JC, have a good time at the game. Behave yourself.
Root for the SEC, QB. Root for the SEC. We need the SEC to win some damn games. You should have heard these Oklahoma fans are convinced they would win the SEC. I mean, right now they're convinced they're the best team in the country. This is how Oklahoma fans are.
Well, let me tell you something.
We need the SEC to show up in these games coming up here because people are just raising hell about how overrated our conference is. It makes me mad.
Well, I'm the biggest SEC homer there is, and I'll be honest with you, our conference sucked this year, except for like 4 teams.
They all suck. Come on, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Every conference was very, very top heavy this year. But usually the SEC, the middle tier teams are pretty damn good. Not this year. Right. Okay, so JC, I am rooting for Alabama because I think I absolutely can't stand Notre Dame, and I just think Alabama's by far the best team. So I'm rooting for your team, JC. How about that?
My school, class of '86, baby, hoot hoot. And I went to Florida for 3 semesters too. So don't get on my case on Facebook Live. Everybody's But anyway, I thank you for rooting for the SEC today. I'm really excited to hear how we're going to have a conversation about Clemson and Alabama a week from now. So
let me ask you this: how many after Clemson wins and after Alabama wins, how many times have they played each other in the last few years?
I think 4, and I think they're 2-2, and maybe it's 5. No, I think it's 4. Alabama won 1 game against them and won a semifinal game against them, and they've won 2 championship games against Alabama. So I think it's 4. So they're 2-2, and one of the games was a semifinal game as opposed to a final game, and that was in New Orleans. So, and then Alabama beat them in the Fiesta Bowl, and then Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence beat Alabama. So that's where we're at, and that's what I think most fans expect to see happen. I'm actually going to have to root for Ohio State, frankly, because I don't want to see Clemson again. I'm tired of Clemson. And I know Ohio State's tired of Clemson. Listen, Clemson owns Ohio State right now. I mean, they housed Ohio State, and they have got Ohio State's number. I think the Buckeyes felt they were the better team last year, but they lost. And Trevor Lawrence is the reason they lost. So this is their chance to rectify that, but I don't think they have the horses in the defensive secondary to slow down Trevor Lawrence or those wide receivers from Clemson or ETN.
All right, JC, enjoy the game. Be safe. Happy New Year, my man.
Happy New Year. We'll see you Monday, folks.
Yep, that's JC joins on the Titan More Hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We're going to take our final time out of the program here on this New Year's Day 2021 program. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, and Dowling Signs. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Really want to thank our man, Andy Staples from The Athletic, joining the program, and also JC out in Dallas, getting ready for his Alabama Crimson Tide to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning purchased, $199 value. Service departments open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for your convenience. This Day in Sports, speaking of the Rose Bowl, it's not in Pasadena this year. It's in Dallas, Texas, or Arlington, wherever their Jerry World is. 1902 was the first Rose Bowl game between Michigan and Stanford. Michigan beat them 49-0. This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Folks, hope you had a safe night last night. Let's hope 2021 is much better. We appreciate you following us and liking us and all that and being a part of our program. Be safe out there. Enjoy the games today, and we will see you on Monday. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Take care.